Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside Stilicho, Last of the Romans. This is a solitaire game designed by Robert Dulesky and published by Hollandspiele Games. This is a follow-up by Robert to his original game, Wars of Marcus Aurelius, which was fantastic. If you've not played it, if you don't have it, I strongly recommend you go to the Hollandspiele site and order it. And this is the follow-up to that, so maybe pick up both at the same time. This one's going to be a lot of fun to play, and I can't wait to get to the table. So let's take a look at the back of the box and see what this game's all about. The Goths are marching on Rome. In Gaul, Vandals and Alans pour across the Rhine. Meanwhile, a usurper from the distant fringes of the empire has raised his standard. The survival of the Western Empire depends on one man, Flavius Stilicho, barbarian general, commander-in-chief of the armies of Rome, and de facto ruler of the West. Stilicho, Last of the Romans, is the long-anticipated follow-up to designer Robert Dulesky's popular and challenging solitaire game, Wars of Marcus Aurelius. The brain-boiling card angst and nail-biting combats that made that game so compelling are back, along with some new wrinkles that make for a more challenging and nuanced decision space. For example, the surge mechanism that caused so many gamers to invent new curse words is now more nefarious, with each enemy card having specific surge effects. Rome's enemies sometimes bump into each other, resulting in enemy-on-enemy battles. Regions might go into revolt, garrisons might defect to the banner of pretender Constantine III, and the wily courtier Olympius might turn the Emperor Honorius against you. No wonder the historical Stilicho only lasted until turn 3. If you want to win, you'll have to last much longer than that, all while taking on tougher and more resilient enemies than poor Marcus had to face and with less resources at your disposal. Will you prevent the sack of Rome and the fall of the Western Empire? And for the components, we get a 22 by 17-inch map, 54 counters, 100 cards, a 20-page rulebook, and 2 six-sided dice, along with a card display sheet. So let's take a look inside and see what you get. And we get our Rome deck and our enemy deck of cards. 2d6, sheet of counters, card display, which is pretty cool. It's on canvas and beautiful art. We have our rulebook, full color, and our map. So let's set up the map and take a closer look at the game. And here's the map that comes with the game. It's a beautiful color palette. I really like how everything stands out, very easy to read. All of the different provinces are easily discernible by the borders, and the colors are nice and vibrant, so easy to tell which army is which as they come at you, because as you can see, this is definitely that state of siege feel where you're just getting it from all angles. And there are multiple ways that you're going to be taken down in this game, and you're going to get taken down. As we saw in the back of the box, the original Stilicho, he only lasted till round 3. You've got to last around 10, so it's going to be a real tough nut to crack and quite a challenge. And as we look around the map, we see the different tracks and boxes that you'll be using in the game. We have surrendered unactivated units. Then we have army boxes for Constantine III, the Vandals, and the Goths. Down here we have the recovery area. At the top we have the turn track, and then the different campaigns, the early, mid, and late before the housekeeping phase of each turn. And then this is the Olympius track. He's going to be moving up here. You want to keep him from moving all the way to the top. You've got to spend some cards to use your advocate to try to talk him back down. If he gets all the way to the top, you immediately lose and you are executed. So definitely don't want to have that happen to you, but really love the look of this map. It's going to make great presentation on the table. And we'll take a look at the counters that come with the game. These are the nice thick Blue Panther counters we always get with Hollandspiele games. We get our Roman units. We have Goths, Constantine, and the Vandals here, as well as some admin counters that you'll be using throughout the game. Then we have the card display mat, which is on canvas material, just like they use for the big maps. This is a beautiful picture, and it's broken into sections for the different cards that you'll be using in the game. The enemy draw deck, the enemy discard pile, the surge spaces here, and the drawn enemy cards at the top. And we'll take a look at a few of the cards that come with the game. We have the Roman deck, and we also have the enemy deck. And we'll take a look at the Roman card first. This one says retreat Olympius 2 spaces. That Olympius track along the side there, if it gets all the way to the top, you get executed. This is a way to bring it back a couple spaces and stave off that execution. And then for the enemy deck, we have revolts, where you flip all unrest to revolt. We saw those admin counters on the counter sheet, and you're going to have unrest, and unrest will then evolve to revolt. You don't want to have that happen, and with the enemy deck, it can easily happen very quickly. We'll take a look at a couple more cards from the enemy deck. This one says add Unrest to Italia Suburbicaria or flip Unrest to Revolt. And then Death of Alaric, demoralize the Goths and retreat them. Place the Death of Alaric marker atop them. If they are surrendered, you cannot enlist them until the next turn. And we'll take a look at a couple of cards from the Roman deck. Daring Maneuver. In place of a regular attack, Romans and the enemy each roll 1 die. Highest result wins, re-roll ties. If you win, Olympius retreats 1 space. If you lose, Olympius advances 1 space. A 1 and 6 have no special effect for either side. Then the next is Militia, where you can remove up to 2 Unrest or Revolts. Now we'll take a look at the rules that come with the game. This is a 16-page full-color rulebook. Rules only go to page 10. After that, we have the appendices. Inside of the front cover, we have the overview, the components, explaining to you how to read the map, the counters, the cards. Then we get into setup on page 2. We have the sequence of play on page 3. So page 3 to page 10, we only have 7 pages of actual rules. Deployment, enemy phase, special effects of enemy activation, enemy collisions. When the 2 enemies will collide, you can get them hopefully to fight each other and make themselves weaker, make your job a little easier. Siege spaces, attacking garrisons, surges, which are always bad, Oathbreaker check, Olympius, who's a real bad guy, and then you've got the Roman phase, explains to you all the steps for the Roman phase, reserve action, attack an enemy, another illustrated example of play, enlist the Goths or Constantine III, counter Olympius, place your garrison, suppress unrest and revolt and a mutiny, prevent a surge. Then you get to your end of round, housekeeping, and then winning or losing, all explained to you. And that is it for the rules. Then we get to the appendix, which has all of the background history on the game. And then we get to the chronology of the early 5th century. So you get a nice little history lesson along with it, some design notes, enemy card notes, the Roman card notes. I always love when they have card notes in there because you're seeing these pieces of history and they're getting a little bit further fleshed out for you with some extra text in the rules. Then we have the player aid at the back of the rule book. And that is a look at everything you get inside of Stilicho, Last of the Romans. This is a solitaire game designed by Robert Dulesky and published by Hollandspiele Games. The first game that Robert did, Wars of Marcus Aurelius, was fantastic. I expect this one's going to follow suit and probably be even more frustrating than Wars of Marcus Aurelius was, especially due to the fact that history is against you. As I said on the back of the box that I talked about when we were looking at the map, you have 10 turns to survive. Historically, Stilicho only lasted 3. So that is going to be a monumental challenge in and of itself. And these are the types of games, like I've talked about before, with that Hollandspiele makes, where they are difficult to win. But you keep coming back time and time again because they're fun and they're challenging. You saw 7-page of rules. Easy to get this one at the table. It's not going to be difficult to understand. All of the depth, all the strategy is going to be in the agonizing decisions on how to deal with these cards and use your cards to the best advantage you can, and trying to survive all the way to turn 10 as these constant waves are coming at you. So it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to getting this one on the table and seeing how badly this one is going to beat up on me if it's worse than Wars of Marcus Aurelius did. But always fun and a great challenge to play these games. Well, I hope that helps you guys out if you've been curious about this one. If you have any comments or questions, post them down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.